What if I told you that the moment you feel most lost is actually when you're closest to finding your true power? It sounds contradictory, doesn't it? But let me explain. Everyone talks about the glorious moments of enlightenment, the times when everything falls into place, when you feel like you finally discovered your purpose. However, what happens after the high wears off? What happens when you're sitting alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering why nothing seems to matter anymore? This is the space where most people get stuck. It's not depression or apathy. It's the feeling of being untethered, a lack of drive that leaves you questioning everything. This experience often comes after what's known as ego death. It could have been triggered by a spiritual awakening, a crisis, a breakup, or a long battle with your own psyche. Regardless of the cause, the result is the same. Your old self, the identity that defined who you were, collapses. For a brief moment, it might even feel peaceful, freeing. But now you're stuck in the silence. There's no goal, no clear self, no drive to fight for. Just an empty space where you used to be. Here's where most people go wrong. We're often taught that enlightenment is a permanent state, a glowing, blissful existence. The truth, however, is that the period after ego death can be messy and disorienting. It's not the magical clarity we expect, but rather an internal storm that leaves us lying on the floor of our own lives, trying to remember what gave us purpose in the first place. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who reshaped how we understand the human psyche, understood this process intimately. He called it the death of the persona, the moment when the mask we wear for society falls away, leaving us exposed, often with no idea who we are anymore. Jung believed that this collapse wasn't the end, but the beginning of something far more real than the persona we once clung to. This is the start of the individuation process, where we begin the painful yet necessary journey to integrate our unconscious and discover our true self. It's the stage where we no longer rely on our ego for validation, and instead listen to something deeper, something that resonates from within us. Here's where it gets interesting. After ego death, you're not broken, you're not lost, you're simply transitioning. Most people mistake this phase for apathy or even depression, but it's really a recalibration. You're adjusting to a new way of being, one that doesn't depend on external validation or a constructed identity. Jung called this process individuation, the slow, sometimes painful journey toward becoming who we truly are. It's not about filling the void with new goals or distractions. It's about listening to the quiet whispers within. But here's the paradox. It's in the silence, the space between your old self and the new one, that your true power emerges. It's uncomfortable, yes. It can feel like a deep fatigue, a lack of motivation. But that's not laziness. That's the process of reawakening. In this space, you might feel drained, like you want to create, build, or move, but your body and mind just won't sync up. Everything seems slow, heavy, and pointless. But what if this feeling of stagnation, this exhaustion, wasn't the problem? What if the issue was your resistance to it? Jung believed that what we resist not only persists, but grows. We exhaust ourselves fighting against the emotions we don't want to feel, and that's where the real drain comes from. When we stop fighting, when we allow ourselves to be tired or unmotivated without judgment, we start to let go of the resistance. And that's when the shift begins. It's not about forcing motivation or action. It's about embracing the moment, sitting with it, and letting it pass naturally. Only then can we begin to align with our true self, the self that's been waiting beneath the surface all along. You might have heard the phrase, when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. It's a comforting thought, but the truth is, after an ego death, things are rarely so simple. The truth is, rock bottom doesn't always have a clear up. There's no obvious direction, no easy answers. Instead, you're left in the quiet discomfort of emptiness, a space where everything feels irrelevant, and yet, everything feels possible at the same time. This empty feeling can be unsettling, even terrifying. It's as if your entire identity has been stripped away and you're left with a vast, uncharted landscape. But this void is not something to fear. It's a space of untapped potential, a blank canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of your true self. Most of us fear this void, but in reality, it is the perfect ground for true personal growth. Purpose doesn't arise from the actions we take in our everyday lives. It comes from reconnecting with the essence. When the ego dies, it's like a sudden recalibration of everything you've known. No longer do you have the same anchors that once defined you. Your job, your social roles, your status. All of these are stripped away, and for a moment, you feel as if you are floating in nothingness. But this is where the work begins. It's not about immediately filling the void with new goals or external markers of success. It's about exploring the depth of the space you now find yourself in. The magician archetype, as Carl Jung described, represents the deep wisdom that can be accessed when we stop looking outside for answers and begin looking inward. This journey of self-discovery is one of patience. It's about allowing the answers to come to you, not through external pressures or expectations, but through quiet reflection. Jung believed that this space of uncertainty is crucial for our personal evolution. When we let go of the ego's constant need for control, we open ourselves up to a much greater source of wisdom. This doesn't happen overnight, nor does it happen in bursts of dramatic insight. It happens gradually, like a slow unfolding, where every small step brings us closer to understanding the true essence of who we are. The challenge, of course, lies in trusting the process. In a world that constantly demands action, success, and progress, it can feel counterintuitive to just be in the void. We are taught to fill every moment with activity, to constantly move forward. But after ego death, the best action is often inaction, letting yourself simply be with your feelings, with your confusion, with your unknowing. The power doesn't come from frantically searching for meaning, but from allowing the meaning to fly. The magician teaches us that true power comes not from controlling the outside world, but from understanding and mastering the inner world. This mastery comes from the willingness to sit in silence, to confront the unknown, and to trust that eventually clarity will come, not through force, but through patience and awareness. It's easy to feel frustrated and lost in the face of such uncertainty, but the deeper wisdom lies in allowing the void to do its work. It's like planting a seed and trusting that, with time, it will grow into something meaningful. You don't need to rush the process. You don't need to fill the space with distractions. The real power, the magician's power, comes from trusting the natural flow of life. When you stop trying to force an answer and allow yourself to be present in the space, that's when after ego death, life can often feel like you're drifting through a fog, unsure of where to go, or even if you should go anywhere at all. This is where many people lose hope. We live in a world that celebrates immediacy, where everything is fast-paced, and we are constantly encouraged to act, to do, to push forward. The idea of slowing down, of sitting in the silence of the void, seems almost unnatural, but it's precisely this patience that holds the key to unlocking your true self. In modern society, we are constantly bombarded with the message that success is tied to action. Every day, we're told to do more, achieve faster, and hustle harder. But after an ego death, we are often faced with a silence so profound it can feel paralyzing. In that silence, you might question everything about your life and purpose. The emptiness, the lack of motivation, can feel like an abyss that stretches out indefinitely. It's easy to think you're stuck in limbo, waiting for something to happen. But what if the real work isn't about rushing forward, but rather leaning into the void? The magician archetype, as Carl Jung described, represents not only wisdom, but also the ability to hold space and wait. Patience, when harnessed correctly, becomes a powerful tool for transformation. It's not about sitting idly, waiting for something to change on its own. It's about learning to trust the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The magician teaches us that through stillness, we gain the ability to see what others cannot: insight, clarity, and understanding. At the heart of the magician's wisdom is an understanding of time, specifically the relationship between time and growth. In a world driven by instant gratification, we are conditioned to expect results immediately. Social media, advertisements, and even the educational systems emphasize speed, efficiency, and productivity. But true transformation, the kind that resonates deeply and lasts, takes time. In the immediate aftermath of ego death, you might feel lost or disconnected, but this period is part of the process of realigning with your true self. Like a seed growing into a tree, change takes time. You don't see the roots growing deep beneath the soil, but they are. And in the same way, your personal transformation might not be visible on the surface right now. but something profound is happening on a much deeper level. The magician's wisdom lies in his ability to trust the process, to wait patiently for the transformation to manifest, while understanding that the universe doesn't work on our timeline. It has its own rhythm. Jung often spoke about the importance of waiting for the right moment. He argued that true wisdom comes from embracing the pauses, the moments in between action, when we are forced to confront the unknown. These are the moments when we face ourselves and are given the chance to listen, to really hear the whispers of our soul. Patience allows us to step away from the noise of everyday life and listen to the deeper currents beneath the surface. The magician archetype invites us to slow down, to observe, and to trust that everything happens in its own time. This is a vital lesson. The more we push for results, the more we block ourselves from receiving the wisdom and insights that are meant for us. The magician, with his deep connection to the unconscious, knows that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to simply wait with awareness and openness. Waiting is not passive. It is an active engagement with the present moment. But let's be clear, waiting doesn't mean being passive. The magician's waiting is an active kind of presence. It's about being fully immersed in the present moment, trusting that the answers will come when they are meant to. This active patience is what sets the magician apart from those who merely wait around for change to happen. The magician, through his connection to the unconscious, creates space for transformation, allowing the inner wisdom to rise to the surface. In a world where we are taught to constantly do and achieve, it can feel counterintuitive to practice patience. We often feel like we are losing time, or worse, wasting it. The modern world tells us that to matter, we must accomplish things, constantly be productive. But the true power of patience is that it allows us to align with our deepest purpose. By trusting the timing of our lives, we stop fighting against the flow and start moving with it. This alignment is where the magician's real magic happens. True magic is the art of knowing when to act and when to be still. By learning to move in harmony with the natural flow of life, we stop struggling against the inevitable moments of pause. It's not about forcing things to happen, but allowing them to happen in their own time. The magician understands that it's in the quietest moments, the moments of stillness and reflection, that the deepest transformations take place. It's when we allow ourselves to fully exist in the void that we are transformed. The void, as uncomfortable as it may be, is not an enemy. It is an essential part of the process of personal transformation. And patience, the magician's greatest gift, allows us to navigate this space with grace and understanding. Through stillness and active waiting, we begin to unlock the hidden potential that lies within us, stepping into our true power when the time is right. It's not about rushing toward the future. It's about embracing the present moment and trusting the unfolding process of life. The magician doesn't just teach us how to wield power. He teaches us how to wait, how to trust the process, and how to cultivate the wisdom that comes when we finally let go of control. Patience, then, becomes the ultimate form of magic, the magic of timing, of listening, and of allowing the universe to guide us, gently and with purpose. It's easy to forget that some of the most profound forces in the universe are the ones that we cannot see. Just as the wind cannot be held in our hands, the magician archetype teaches us that the most potent forces are often invisible, felt only through their effects. In today's world, we often look for clear answers, tangible results, and instant gratification. We want quick fixes, concrete solutions, and certainty. But true transformation happens when we embrace the unseen, the forces that are beyond our understanding. The magician, much like an alchemist, understands the importance of the unseen. He knows that true mastery is not in what we can control, but in what we can influence. In our fast-paced, goal-driven world, we often overlook the quiet forces that guide us, the inner wisdom, the invisible energy that shapes our lives. The magician teaches us to look beyond the obvious, to trust that sometimes the best way to move forward is to wait and listen. As we explore the magician's power of transformation, it becomes clear that the essence of his magic lies in his understanding of the unknown. In ancient times, the magician would work with symbols, rituals, and energy to create change, believing that the material world was only a reflection of the deeper, spiritual world. In modern times, we often overlook these forces, focusing instead on the material and physical aspects of life. But the magician reminds us that true power lies in mastering the unseen world, the world of symbols, energy, and the unconscious mind. Jung, in his deep exploration of the human psyche, saw the unconscious as a powerful force that shapes our thoughts, behaviors, and realities. The unconscious mind is like the engine beneath the surface, driving the actions and decisions we often aren't even aware of. The magician, in this sense, is the one who can tap into this hidden well of power and bring it into the conscious world. This power doesn't come from domination or control. It comes from integration, from understanding the interplay between the seen and unseen. Today, the magician archetype can be found in those who work with energy, creativity, and the mind. Artists, healers, and even scientists are modern magicians, using their unique gifts to tap into the unseen forces that drive change. They may not wield wands or cast spells, but they channel energies and insights that allow them to create something new. This is the true essence of the magician, the ability to transform the unseen into something real, to channel forces of change in ways that ripple out into the world. However, this process is not without its challenges. In a world that demands quick results and tangible evidence, it can be difficult to trust in the unseen. We live in a culture that values what is visible, what is measurable, what can be counted and proven. But the magician's power lies in his ability to transcend these limitations, to trust in the deeper currents that are at work beneath the surface. It's easy to look at a situation and assume that because we can't see the change happening, nothing is changing at all. But the magician teaches us to trust the process. In the quiet moments, in the moments of waiting and stillness, profound transformations are taking place. These are the moments when the unseen forces are at work, shifting the very fabric of our reality. The magician knows that change is not always immediate, but it is always occurring beneath the surface. It is in this space of trust, of patience, that we can finally align with the hidden forces that will guide us to where we need to be. The magician's power lies not in force, but in subtlety, in the ability to influence the invisible energies that surround us. Whether in our own lives or in the world at large, the true transformation happens when we learn to work with these forces, rather than against them. The magician teaches us that the real magic isn't in what we can control, but in what we can understand and channel. By embracing the unseen, by trusting the process, and by listening to the quiet energies that surround us, we step into a new realm of personal transformation and collective evolution. As we move forward in life, let us remember the lesson of the magician, that true power comes not from control, but from understanding. It comes not from force, but from alignment with the unseen forces that guide us. When we trust the process, when we learn to work with these energies, we unlock our full potential and begin to shape our world in ways we never thought possible. The magician shows us the way, not through dominance, but through harmony. Harmony with the unseen, with the unknown, and with ourselves.